New Balance has quickly become one of our favorite brands to highlight on the channel, and in 2022, a newish sneaker from the Boston-based brand caught our attention and had us absolutely floored upon first look. But would this refined sneaker be good enough for you to wear any day? We broke in this sneaker and did everything we could to see if it could stand up to our extreme qualifications, from wearing it in the snow to lighting it on fire. Okay, only one of those are true. The New Balance 1906 caught the attention of many sneakerheads new and old in 2022. It was on a cloudy day back in November where I first locked eyes with the sneaker. And ever since then, I've been wearing these sneakers on and off, and even wore it for 7 straight days nonstop. Even when I was working from home, these were on my feet. And I've got to say, the New Balance 1906 really surprised me. And I'll explain why throughout this video and walk you through the 3 items we apply to sneakers: wearability, durability, and comfortability. So let's start with the first one, wearability. Now this pair of the 1906 is the red colorway of the Sea Salt collection that came out in green, red, and gray. And initially I went with the gray pair for versatility, but after leaving that New Balance store, my heart was stuck with these red pairs right here. And I really think it was because of the pebble accents you can see on the sneaker that make it unique and have that red subtle pop on the upper of the sneaker mesh's material. I thought it would make for a great look in my rotation, and sure enough, I'm happy to say the sneaker has definitely been versatile in my collection. You can see in this video right here that I even wore them to work with a sweater and suit jacket, and it looks pretty good to me. But you can dress down into sweats and wear these like I did on a trip to the mall to replace one of these missing earrings right here. And one would argue that these are definitely more wearable than the 9060s. I wore those for 30 days into the ground, and you can catch that video at the end of this one. But let's go into the second of our criteria, durability. This version of the 1906 is made up of primarily leather, mesh, and synthetic material. It really gives me like generic running shoe energy, a pair that can be really worn with anything, and especially worn into the ground. And even New Balance makes mention of this in their description of the sneaker. Now I didn't wear these for 30 days straight like I did with the 9060s, but I did wear them for an entire week straight. This was the only sneaker I wore the entire time, even when I was just chilling at home. I even wore them out during a little wintry mixed storm where I did notice that there was water coming into the sneaker. So I'd advise probably not wearing these, you know, when there's inclement weather out there, and opt for a sneaker that has rain technology featured like a Gore-Tex Air Jordan 1, for example. But during the whole week, the sneaker held up pretty well. It doesn't look that beat up, albeit there is a little bit of a stitch popping out on the lateral side of the sneaker, but that's okay. Something I can easily just cut off with a pair of scissors. Overall, I'd say these sneakers hold up pretty well. And speaking of holding up, let's touch on comfortability. So the 1906 is made up of an Activa light midsole that New Balance says will deliver versatile, flexible support. Activa Light is a lighter version of New Balance's standard compression foam, so it's meant to not feel as heavy on the sneaker itself. It also has absorbed heel cushioning, providing more stability and comfort, along with an energy outsole for shock absorption and a stability web to provide more arch support. It's clear that New Balance wants you to feel comfortable with this sneaker. But during my week of wearing this shoe, in on the train, at work, through a winter storm, one thing I kept telling myself was how comfortable this sneaker was. And this was really felt when I would be standing on the train going home. Now typically I always stand because I have a desk job, so you know, I need to get that blood flowing. But it can be hard to stand up sometimes, especially depending on the sneaker that I'm wearing. But one thing I felt while wearing this sneaker is how much the absorb heel cushioning and that Activa Light midsole are working to provide stability. With me trying to stay balanced and upright and not lean to one side, the sneaker was working with me to give me added support and comfort, something that I tend to find with New Balance sneakers more than the other popular brands like a Nike or an Adidas. This experience makes me want to wear the 1906 more, especially when going into work, because of how much support I feel while I'm standing up. And when I'm walking, I can feel the outsole taking in all the weight I'm putting onto the ground and giving me a really nice bounce. Now before I give my overall take, I want to touch on sizing for the sneaker. Now, typically with New Balance sneakers, I tend to wear a size 10 or 10 and a half. When I got these sneakers at the New Balance flagship store, I tried on both sides and found that with the 10 and a half, it was fine, but there was just a little too much room around the toe area. With the size 10, it was a little difficult to get my foot in because I am wide-footed, but once I got them in and laced them up, they fit perfectly. So I went with the size 10 and I'm happy I did because I think my experience with the sneaker would have been a lot different had I gone that 10 and a half size. So my recommendation, get your true size, go a half size down and see which one works for your feet. What's great is that these sneakers are pretty easy to find, so trying them out at your local sneaker shop shouldn't be too difficult and it shouldn't be that hard to determine which size makes the most sense for you. When all is said and done, the New Balance 1906 is a great general purpose shoe. While it's at pricey at $155 retail, the comfort that you get, the versatility, you know, the sneaker that can be used for everyday needs and even maintain a pretty stylish look, you can't go wrong with that. Now, if you have a pair of 1906s in your rotation, I want to know your thoughts in the comments. Let me know how your experience has been. And if you want to see what happened when I wore the Joe FRESHGOODS 9060s for a whole month, you can watch that video right here to see what shocking discovery I made while testing out the sneaker's durability in a crazy challenge.